Embark on a journey of discovery with NK News and Koryo Tours as we proudly present the North Korea from a Distance tour, your window into the enigmatic world of the DPRK. With travel to North Korea remaining uncertain, our unique tour offers an unparalleled opportunity to explore the nation from its periphery. Designed for those who are keen to understand and observe North Korea, this tour is a comprehensive exploration of critical inter-Korean sites. Immerse yourself in a series of engaging tours along the border, interactive briefings and insightful Q&A sessions with leading specialists. Our tour is more than just sightseeing. It's an educational expedition that sharpens your perspective on the Korean peninsula. This is your chance to join a community of like-minded individuals, from academics to policy enthusiasts, all brought together by a shared interest in North Korean affairs. Visit NK News or contact Koryo Tours to secure your place now and gain a deeper insight into one of the most closely watched regions in the world. Don't wait, spaces are filling fast.
Hello, podcast listeners. Welcome to the NK News podcast. I'm your host, Jacko Zwetsloot, and today's interview is recorded on Monday, June 17th, 2024. Almost exactly 2 years ago, I spoke with today's guest, Ms. Pak Hangu, a woman who was born and raised in Japan in the Zainichi enclave of ethnic Koreans who are pro-North Korea, the Chosen Soren or the Choson Chongryon. And I invited Ms. Pak back on the show to tell us more about what is happening in the Korean community in Japan in the wake of Kim Jong Un's announcement last December that he is no longer interested in peaceful unification with South Korea. So, welcome back on the show, Hyangsu.
Hi, Jacko. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for giving me some of your time again today. Remind our listeners what Chongryon or Chosen Soren is and what it does.
Okay, Choson Chongryon or Chongryon is an organization. The name is the General Association of Korean Residents in Japan, and there is two organizations. After World War II, the division of the Korean Peninsula led to the division of among Zainichi community too. So there is pro-North Korean organization, which is called Chongryon, and Mindan, which is pro-South Korean organization. And Chongryon had superior power than Mindan, especially in 60s, 70s until mid-80s. And 70% of Zainichi Koreans supported and belonged to Chongryon.
Okay, and for a long time, Chongryon financially supported North Korea, sending money over and other items, right? So it was very supportive of the North Korean government.
Sure, and of course, Kim Il-sung, from early stage, like 1952, Kim Il-sung called on the socialist movement in Japan to be coordinated to close contact with North Korea. So it was one of his plans, I think, and Chongryon prospered. And of course, North Korea supported, especially Korean schools in Japan, which is organized and governed by Chongryon. And that the existence of schools, once there are more than 200 schools, and now it's 50 or so, and from kindergarten to university in Tokyo, one university in Tokyo, and now the number of students is like 5,000, but it used to be 10 times.
Wow.
Yeah, like 50,000. Yeah.
And you went to the school system as well.
Yeah.
At its largest, how many members would you say Chongryon had?
According to Japanese police, it said it's like 80,000.
And this when was it at its largest stage? Was this in the 60s or the 70s?
I think more than 70% of Zainichi Koreans supported and belonged to Chongryon in 60s, 70s. So, yeah.
Okay, so that was a very large number then. Okay, and today
it's shrinking and it's fading away.
Right. So you recently visited Japan. What did you observe about the current state of Chongryon? Is it as powerful as before?
No, it's uniting inwardly. It is facing many challenges in recent years, especially declining membership and financial difficulties. Yeah, they are even. I heard that they are even managing the part of Korean school playground as a free parking lot.
Oh, so they can collect parking fees to keep the school going.
And financial difficulties are serious, and also generational shifts. The younger generation are not interested in belonging to, any organization. And
are they apolitical?
Yeah, political organization. They are not interested in anymore, and but they're still resilient.
Yeah.
Many. Maintaining the presence despite various obstacles and uniting inwardly more, rigidly. Yeah.
So how many members do you think Chongryon has today then?
I think it's less than, even Japanese police said it's 80,000.
Oh, is that number for now? The 80,000?
A few years ago.
Okay.
A few years ago. But I think it's less than 50,000 or so.
Less than 50,000 now. Okay. And so back in the 1960s, would it have been more than 1 million members, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
So at its peak, it was more than 1 million, and now it's down to 50,000.
There were 600,000.
600,000.
Yeah, 600,000 Zainichi Koreans in 60s, 70s, 80s. And 80% of Zainichi Koreans supported Chongryon, so that number would be more.
Somewhere over 400,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So in December last year, Kim Jong Un announced that he was no longer interested in pursuing peaceful unification with South Korea. How has that changed Chongryon?
They are mentally shocked, I think, first of all, because reunification was the ultimate value to persuade people to support Chongryon, and that value was denied now. So I heard they are in the mental breakdown and confused.
Right.
Yeah. But I think in the end, they will follow the guideline from the North Korea. And I heard from my personal source, Chongryon inquired 통일전선부, which is the
Unified Front Department
for Unification, which is governing Chongryon, that what are you going to do? What do you want us to do from now on?
Right.
But they had no answer yet.
So, the North Korean government, United Front Department, had no answer yet.
Yes, I heard that. And even the name of 통일전선부 changed. Did you heard that?
No, tell me more.
They changed it. 대적 지도국. It's enemy control department.
Oh.
Yeah. And the name itself is quite different, too different. And
is that department still responsible for the Zainichi Koreans in the Chongryon?
I heard that.
Okay.
Yeah, it changed sometimes, but it's still under,
So even though the name is now the Enemy Control Department, they're also controlling the Chongryon, which is not really enemies because they're friends, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But I have to make sure if they're still control Chongryon or not. But
you have to check that. Okay.
Yeah, but Chongryon anyway inquired 통일전선부. Yeah.
So is there a sense among inside the Chongryon today in Japan that this change in strategy by Kim Jong Un, is it something real? Is it fundamental, or is it just for show? Is it just empty words?
Chongryon did not announce any, information to ordinary members, including most students or, the ordinary residents. But inside the top members, I mean the
leadership,
members, leadership and members of working for headquarters were guided that it's a real and it's a right decision. So you have to follow that new guideline. And they also ordered employees of Chongryon that they have to avoid the relationships and ties with any South Korean civic groups or any organizational, governmental organization.
Right.
So,
what about you? I mean, you're a former Zainichi now living in South Korea. Do they tell people to avoid contact with you too?
No, I just keep in touch with my friends. Personal relationship, I'm just keeping. But
do you think the leadership would warn people about you or people like you?
They don't like me, I think, because they know that I founded a new NGO group and they're watching it. And they don't like supporting North Korean defectors. And there are, by the way, 200 North Korean defectors living within Japan.
Right.
And they call them a betrayer. And they don't care about them at all. So
okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about your NGO later on. Tell me more about what kind of message is coming out of the leadership. How are the Chongryon schools supposed to treat people with South Korean nationality?
Okay. They ordered teachers at schools that don't to be exclusive, treat them the same as before, because there are 70% of Korean school students have South Korean nationals now.
I see. So
Yeah.
that you mean they have a South Korean passport,
Yes.
but they attend the pro-North Korean Minjok Hakyo
Yes.
schools?
Yes.
Why would they go to that school?
Maybe their parents want, and their ideology are different.
But then why would they have South Korean nationality, not North Korean nationality?
It's more convenient, and they want, teenagers these days in Japan really like K-pops, K-cultures, and they want to visit South Korea, and it's convenient. And North Korean, it's not a passport. It's just a re-entry permission to having Joseon. Joseon, and it's too inconvenient. So, just for convenience, they're changing their nationals to South Korea.
So these young Zainichi Koreans who are attending these schools, they're really caught between two worlds, aren't they? They're attending a pro-North Korean school, but they like South Korean K-pop and dramas.
Yeah, right.
So they're caught between the two Koreas.
Yeah. But they never learn about the reality of South Korea. They don't know the South Korean, for example, the Seoul intonation language. Or they don't learn about the traditional South Korean, the songs, or the reality of South Korea. They don't teach them.
How does the leadership of Chongryon react to questions about unification policy or opinions about unification policy?
I think they will just follow the guidelines from the North, and they will never change their attitudes.
But at the moment, you said there are no guidelines yet. So the leadership is, what's the leadership doing?
But they ordered also that don't ask any questions about new guidelines, and no opinions are welcomed. So they're keeping a silence, and maybe inside the confusion is occurring, I think, and it will take some more time to fix everything, because even in North Korea, they are in confusion. I think they, for example, they changed the name of Tongil Station, and just erased the Tongil, the unification, and also the lyrics of the national song. They changed the Samcheolli, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I saw the North Korean soccer team. They visited Japan in March this year for pre-match for World Cup. And there were more than 3,000 Chongryon cheering group squad there, and they heard that the players sung a national song in a different way. They didn't say Samcheolli. And maybe they didn't know about the change before.
Wow. I'm also curious, are the maps of Korea that are shown in the Minjok Hakyo schools, do they show this new border, this new two Koreas, or do they still show a united Korea in their maps?
I'm not sure yet, but they haven't fixed it yet. It will take time.
And there may be new song lyrics in the future as well, and new textbooks, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Next year, okay. Yeah, please keep watching about that and let us know when you see the changes happening.
Okay.
Do you expect any new change in activities or strategy from Chongryon in the future with these new guidelines?
I think they will try to, maintain their presence in a several ways. For example, they are publishing the younger generation magazines like EO. EO means connect, EO, and which looks like, very young and sophisticated and eliminating political color. And they're trying to collect support from the Japanese too. And mainly
from ethnic Japanese people.
Ethnic Japanese supporters. For example, for Korean school program, there are, the number of Japanese people who support Korean school too. They think
financially?
It's financially, or they just fight together for the subsidiary from the governmental support.
So why would ethnic Japanese support pro-North Korean Chongryon? Why would they do that? Are they
because
socialist Japanese people?
Yeah, partly, yes. And maybe they think the children have nothing to do with the North Korean regime.
I see.
And it's a discrimination against Korean children. And Chongryon is also appealing to United Nations that the government are eliminating Korean schools from supporting them. So Yeah, some Japanese agree with that idea that, the schools should not be discriminated because it's the learning space for kids. So. And Chongryon also publishing another magazine which is called New Generation, 세세대. It's a monthly magazine.
Yeah.
And that's also, eliminating all the political colors and just uniting psychologically together. Emphasizing that kind of, culture, their own culture. And I think it's a part of their new policy. And because nobody read Joseon Shinbo anymore, it's too...
Old-fashioned?
Yeah, old-fashioned and not interesting. And they even publish Joseon Shinbo or Joseon newspaper in 2 languages. And the contents is different.
Korean and Japanese?
Yes.
Oh, the contents are different?
Different.
There's not a direct translation from one to the other.
No,
it's actually different.
You have to check all the time. Yeah. For example, when they report about the graduation ceremony of Joseon Daekyo, the Joseon University in Tokyo, they wrote in Korean that the student pledged the loyalty to the North Korea, but they never wrote that in Japanese version. Yeah, I checked sometimes and I compared both, but it's different.
Is the Japanese version of the Joseon Shinbo published for Japanese people to read? Is that why it's published?
Yeah, partly because, and not all Korean in Japan can read Korean. So, it's published in Japanese too. And maybe in Korean version, North Korean government will check the Korean version.
See.
Yeah.
So they don't check the Japanese version. That's interesting. These magazines you mentioned, ER and 세세대, New Generation, are they published only in Korean or in a mixture of Korean and Japanese?
Mostly in Japanese.
Mostly in Japanese.
Yeah.
So even though the names ER and 세세대 are Korean names, most of the contents is Japanese language content.
Yes.
I see.
Because Zainichi Koreans' younger generation now, it's 4th generation.
Yeah.
And Japanese are their first language, of course.
So I'm very curious because, the North Korean government is very concerned about purity, not only ethnic purity, but also cultural purity and language and things. So to what extent is the Korean language still used within the Zainichi community to communicate about big issues like politics and identity and things like that?
In daily lives, they don't use Korean at all, almost at all. But in school, they emphasize to use only Koreans. And maybe Chongryon gathering and the Chongryon ceremony, they only use Korean.
So they're forced to use Korean at school, but really they want to read Japanese.
Yeah.
So
it's easier for them.
Right.
Yeah. And all the teachers are Zainichi and they've never lived in Korea and their language is different too. And students know that it's different from that language in K-drama and it's not a real. Yeah.
So do they feel that they're learning like a kind of a simplified Korean or a second-class Korean?
They call it a Zainichi style Korean language, which is different from both South and North Korea.
But so for more complicated topics like arts and literature and philosophy and politics, they go into Japanese.
Sure.
I see. Okay. Well, let's also talk about something that you did while you were in Japan. You launched a new NGO called Free to Move, or F2M. What's the goal of this NGO?
Of course, it's to promote the freedom and free return, especially of separated families in Japan. As you know, there's 93,000 Zainichi returnees to North Korea during the Paradise on Earth project.
From the 1950s to the 1980s.
Yes, and we also wish to, return of all Japanese abductees to North Korea.
Okay. So this is the main goal of your organization, is to help or to advocate for the rights of North Koreans who used to live in Japan or their children who maybe have never been to Japan to be able to move to Japan.
Yeah, and also to, let people know about the real situation of North Korean human rights in Japan.
And do you also want to encourage Chongryon members to leave the organization, or is that not part of your mission?
That's part of my mission.
Okay.
My goal is to, persuade them to join together to promote for the freedom of North Korean people. Because if they turn their ideology, if they change their mind, their motivations is very deep and big, I think. And my co-founder, Mr. Hon, was one of the Chongryon workers. Yeah,
for example, your father was too originally, right? He worked for, actually, your family story is very interesting. For listeners who didn't hear your previous interview, I would encourage them go back to episode 243, where you can hear Hyangsu talk about her father, her mother, her uncles, and the whole story about how they left Chongryon.
But I don't want to attack them directly, or I just don't want to criticize or preach or teach them that you are wrong. That doesn't work. Yeah, I just want to share my experience and my, knowledge and the testimonies I heard from the defectors in South Korea. I've been working with them for 10 years, and I just want to share and let them know, if they want, they can reach those information anytime, and they can, it's their choice if to change or not change. Yeah.
Tell us more about your co-founder, Mr. Hong, who used to be part of the Chongryon leadership.
Okay, he called himself as ideological defector. He's been working for Chongryon for 20 years and visited North Korea 20 times as a business trip. And he, of course, has his families and relatives in North Korea who returned to North Korea during that Paradise on Earth project. And he worked for Chongryon headquarters in Tokyo for 10 years as a head of social affairs department, which deal with the compulsory conscription or comfort women issues, and mainly the past history with Japan. And then he moved to Osaka, and he was a chairman of the Korean Human Association, which also deal with the right of Zainichi Koreans. And so in total, he worked for Chongryon for 20 years, and
What made him become an ideological defector?
After 2002, Prime Minister Koizumi visited North Korea, and Kim Jong Un acknowledged the abductees.
Okay.
Right? And that was a big shock to all Zainichi Koreans, including Chongryon members, because Chongryon never, admitted.
They denied any connection.
Denied. And they forced the members and students of Korean school to distribute the leaflets on the street. That is a lie, an absolute lie. So everybody believed that, North Korea never did that.
Yeah,
but it was exposed that, they really did it. So it was a big shock to Mr. Hong, too.
Right.
So he posted a message on the Chongryon website in the same year, 2002, and calling for a reform, criticizing the leadership of Central Chongryon headquarters.
Right.
Yeah. And he emphasized that Chongryon is facing a crisis of survival, and we need to revise the relationship with our fatherland. That's what he said.
Yep.
And he collected the full-time employees, 30 members of full-time employees of Chongryon, and submitted the opinion paper to Chongryon. And then Chongryon was so mad at him, and Chongryon called Mr. Hon as a betrayer, and they pointed out that there is somebody behind the scene, and Chongryon also defamed Mr. Hon by posting a false article on its website and newspaper, saying that he's trying to destroy Chongryon in connection with Pak Hangu.
The Korean National Intelligence Service of South Korea.
Yes. It's terrible. He was so shocked, and he was called a betrayer. So he decided to quit the Chongryon, and he filed defamation lawsuit against Chongryon. It was the first time that Chongryon employee filed a case, and he won the case in the end. Yes, and because he majored in the law.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Did they pay him any money?
Yes.
They did.
I don't know how much he got paid, but they paid alimony, and he demanded Chongryon to publish the apology advertisement.
Wow. In the Joseon Shinbo?
Yes, and they did, because it's a law. It's a order from the law. So yeah, it was a big experience for Chongryon too. So he was kind of a legend.
And that's why you are working with him to found this organization, Free to Move. And you had a launch ceremony in Japan. What was it, last month or quite recent?
Last month, May 25th. That is the same day of Chongryon Foundation.
Right. Oh, okay. Now, at the launch, did anybody from Chongryon attend your event?
Yeah, I heard one Chongryon worker attended, but I didn't know him and I didn't see him. But one of our members said that there is one person from Chongryon to watch, but he was very quiet. Yeah.
So he didn't disturb the ceremony or the speeches. Okay. Now, there have been Japanese activists and civic groups who have also advocated for North Korean human rights and the freedom to move for a long time. Tell us about these groups.
Yeah, I have been working with those groups for past 10 years as individually because I really wanted to help them and I was touched by their activities. And
how long have those groups been around?
They founded the NGO in 1994, which was even earlier than
ago, right.
Earlier than most South Korean NGOs for North Korean human rights. Yep. Their name of NGO is the Group to Protect the Lives and Human Rights of North Korean Returnees and Japanese Spouses. And the reason why they started this kind of NGO so early was that first they were once a believer of Marxism, and they encouraged many friends, Zainichi friends, to move to North Korea to contribute the socialist construction, and they regret that, and they feel so sorry about that and kind of sense of guilt. Yeah, and they say if they were a Zainichi Korean in that time, like 60s, they would also go to North Korea.
Right.
Yeah, so they don't want, they just want to support those people because they regret what they have done.
So these are ethnic Japanese,
yes,
former Marxists who used to be in favor of the North Korean government, but now they regret it and they want to help North Korean returnees who went to North Korea or their children or their spouses to come back to Japan.
Yes. Right. And after they heard the testimonies from defectors like Kang Chol-hwan, in early 1990s or early 2000, they were so shocked and they, made up their mind that maybe they should do something for those returnees. And at that time, there was almost no interest about the reality of repatriation project, both in the international community as well as in Japan and South Korea. So I think they were the first one who make, loud voice, about the right of returnees. And I really appreciate about that. And another activist, it's a co-founder of Mr. Ogawa. There's a Mr. Yamada. He is now called as a father of defectors in Osaka. He's taking care of more than 50 North Korean defectors residing in Osaka. He provides apartment. He provides the job. And I was so...
That's amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
Is he one of these former Marxists as well?
Yes, he was also
Yamada.
So the socialist activity. And he was a professor of the university in Osaka, but now he retired and his wife is running a hospital in Osaka. So financially, his wife is supporting him.
I see.
Yeah, and then Mr. Yamada once detained in China for 3 weeks.
He was trying to help Zainichi Japanese escape from North Korea to Japan.
Yeah, he was helping to flee to Japanese school in Shanghai.
Wow.
And he was detained for 3 weeks, and that was a big shock and big news. Yeah.
And tell us a bit more about Mr. Ogawa. What's his role?
He's now in his 80s. I think he's 84 or 85. So he can't do a lot now. So I heard last month South Korean NGOs gathered and invited him to Korea and to celebrate and to show him thanks about what he has done so far.
He's been doing work for 30 years now.
Yeah, and he can't do it anymore. And I felt very, sad that he don't have anyone to continue his activities. He has done so much and he collected all the testimonies and so much materials, and his activities are so precious, but no one to take over. So that's another reason why I decided to join Mr. Hong as a member of Free to Move.
So your organization is kind of the spiritual successor of these older movements that have been around for 30 years.
Yes, and maybe there are a lot to do. They have all paperwork of, collecting materials and testimonies, and maybe we need to digitalize them.
Yeah, that's very important. Digitalize.
And they can't do those social media stuff, so we have to, help.
At the moment, do you have a lot of volunteers in Japan who are helping you?
Not a lot.
Not a lot, okay.
In Japan, the social interest is almost toward the Japanese abductees, including Japanese government support. So people don't have no interest in universal human rights issues in North Korea. They're almost only interested in Japanese abductee issue. Of course, that is very important, but I hope the cause is the same, right?
Yeah.
The roots of the sadness, the tragedy is the same. So I hope many Japanese can work together for the human rights issues in North Korea.
Have you found any young Zainichi Koreans who are former members of Chongryon who can help you?
Not many, very few, a couple of people, yeah. But I believe there will be more, yeah.
You mean as more and more people leave Chongryon because of the confusion of the new policy?
Yeah, and also there's no trust anymore about the leadership of Chongryon, and they have no money, no students at Korean school, and no real estate, and they are losing their influence and their power, I think. But before they fade away, I think they once have to officially apologize about what they have done in the past. I think Chongryon did some role, the positive role in Japanese society, protect especially the right of Zainichi Koreans and fight against the discrimination.
Yeah.
And I think there is some positive aspects of Chongryon, but there are a lot more, wrongdoings of Chongryon. For example, they never admit that the Paradise on Earth project was a wrong thing. I was taught at Korean school that was one of the greatest achievement that Chongryon did, sending all those Zainichi Koreans to North Korea, and they are living very happily. And they never help or support North Korean defectors now. They call them a betrayer. And also they even sent more than 200 Korean students as birthday gifts to Kim Il-sung when Kim Il-sung became 60 years old. Yeah, that's a big tragedy. Yang Young-hee's brother, Yang Young-hee,
the film director. She has two brothers or three brothers who went to North Korea?
Three brothers.
Three brothers.
Yeah, and one of her brothers were sent as a birthday gift to Kim Il-sung when he became 60 years old.
Wow.
And that's a big crime, I think, but they never apologized. And I think they should officially once apologize as a organization.
Isn't it likely that the Chongryon might just disappear or fade away after 10 or 20 years as the numbers get smaller and smaller and the amount of money also gets smaller and smaller?
Yes, I hope so. Yeah, they will. But I don't know. They are still very resilient and they have very tight inward unity and their own culture. And the core members are trying so hard to maintain their presence. So I don't know, maybe gradually the NGO groups like us can influence them to change their mind. Yeah, but it takes time.
You're based here in South Korea. You have a family here in South Korea. So what can you do from here to, for your NGO, which is mainly based in Japan?
Okay. I was asked to join this NGO because I am living in Seoul. Because they want to build a network, close network with NGOs in South Korea.
Right.
And it's been only 1 month we have founded, but we have done a lot with South Korean NGOs. Now the Amnesty is doing some symposium in Japan. And
Amnesty International?
Yes, and we are the counterpart. We are helping, interpreting, or, collecting people or PRing. And South Korean NGOs always needed a counterpartner in Japan, but the conventional existing NGOs, they can't speak Korean or English or no social media, so it was kind of hard to work with them. So I think I can be a bridge between South Korean NGOs and in Japan.
Which South Korean NGOs are your strong alliance partners?
A lot.
Yeah.
시민연합, the alliance for, the 북한 인권시민연합.
I don't know. I don't remember the English name of that
Citizens
one.
Alliance for
Citizens Alliance for North Korea. Yep.
Right, and 통일 Academy, and also the member of 통일부 came to congratulate to our the founding ceremony, and also other NGO members also sent congratulatory messages.
So you had somebody there from the South Korean Ministry of Unification.
Yes.
So they're also interested in your work, are they?
Yeah, they're very interested in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you have a website now?
Yes, but only in Japanese.
Okay.
Now we're under construction.
All right. So people who can read Japanese, where can they find your website?
I gave you the address, the free2move.xyz.
free2move.xyz. Okay, and it's all in Japanese at the moment. Now, what about on social media? Are you active on social media?
Not very active now.
Okay.
We're preparing for it. Many things to do.
Yes.
So busy, and we're almost, volunteers. I have 9 boarding members now, and the Jiro Ishimaru from Asia Press.
Sure, he's very famous.
He's
been working for North Korean human rights for also 30 years, I think.
Yeah, yes, and he's an advisor, and he actually persuaded Mr. Hong to found this NGO, because he said it's time for Zainichi ourselves to start and to speak loud, because it's been a long time and you can now speak out. That's how Mr. Hong started. Mr. Hong was helping Asia Press, Ishimaru-san, behind so far, but he made up his mind that, to found. Yeah.
Okay, wow. And now you're not yet on social media, but you told me that there are some YouTubers in Japan who they were students at a pro-North Korea Minjok school, and they talk about their educational experiences. This is Joseph Kim and Pak Yuson, their videos, are they pro-North Korea or are they critical of North Korea?
Critical. Yeah.
But they have a background of coming from North Korea or pro-North Korean groups.
Yes. Yeah. They are very influential, and like Joseph Kim, Kim Joseph, or Joseph Kim in English.
Right.
He is a North Korean defector.
So he actually escaped from North Korea to Japan.
Yes. To South Korea first, and he got a working visa, and he's working in Japan. Yeah, so he's not a descendant of Zainichi returnees. So he was once in Kotjebi in North Korea.
A street kid, basically, in North Korea.
Yeah, and he's telling on his channel that, his life story, very influent Japanese, very quietly.
Right.
And he has now more than 150,000 followers in Japan.
Because it's all Japanese language. Okay,
and
wow.
all Japanese.
Wow.
And they are supporting him. They're encouraging him to be happy. And
how long has he been living in Japan?
I think it's been more than 5 years or so.
It's a very unusual story, right?
Yeah.
So he's born in North Korea to North Korean parents. He escaped to South Korea. Then he got a working visa to go and live in Japan.
Yes.
And that's where he's found happiness and success.
Yeah, and he got married to North Korean defectors in Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, and there are big fans of him, and he sometimes appears on TV shows.
Really?
Yeah, and he, tell people about how hard it was to live in North Korea, and it's gaining a lot of interest, and I think he's very influential. And
so people can find his YouTube channel at the address Yosefu Kim, so YOSEFU Kim on YouTube.
He also published his book in Japanese. Yeah.
Oh, he's doing very well. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about Pak Yu-son?
Pak Yu-son is 27 years old, Korean school student, Korean school graduate.
So he went to one of the same schools that you went to?
Yes.
In Kobe?
Yes, I've never met him, but he's very famous. And he once was an entertainer, belonged to Yoshimoto. Yoshimoto is a Japanese entertaining company.
Oh, I see.
After graduating from Korean school. And he talked about his experience in Korean school.
Wow.
And that was a kind of hit. But he decided to quit the company. And
the entertainment company.
And he decided to run his own YouTube channel and social media. And now he's gaining, great attentions. And he has more than 100,000 followers and all Japanese. And his contents is just, he's not attacking Korean school, not attacking Korean school students, but he's just telling his personal story, personal experience at Korean school. And that's interesting.
Yeah, and people can find that at PAKU_YUSON, Paku Yu-son.
And for example, he explains why he is not going to send his kids if in the future to Korean school. The reason is the Korean school teachers have no teacher's license. They only graduated from all Chongryon schools, and he was not satisfied with the contents of education.
Right.
He didn't know why he had to memorize all the birthdays of Kim's family. And also he emphasized that after he went to the Japanese university, he first knew that there was some hijacking of Korean air, which occurred in 1987. He was told that is a lie, but that was true.
Well, that was the bombing of the Korean airplane.
Yes, bombing of Korean airplane, yes. And also, he never knew that Japanese abductees existed. That was a lie. That's how he was told. But he was shocked that, he was taught so many times about the comfort woman and the compulsory labors during the Japan's rule, but he never ever taught about Japanese abductee issues or the Korean air bombing, or that was a big shock for him.
Have you contacted him and asked him to work with your organization, Free to Move?
One of my members are going to contact him. Yeah,
because if he has 100,000 plus YouTube followers, that would be a great addition to your group, I think.
Yeah. I think these movement of younger generation, and we have variety of platform now to tell people our thoughts and experience, and it will gradually change Chongryon too.
What about pro-Chongryon YouTube channels or TikTokers or Instagrammers? Do they exist as well?
Yeah, they do, but they are not influential.
They don't have many viewers.
And Chosunhakyo, Chongryon School also has their own Twitter, X.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Do they, now, again, those Twitter and YouTube accounts, are they mostly in Japanese language?
Yes, mostly in Japanese. And because they're collecting Japanese supporters.
Okay. So even though they're pro-North Korea, they're still doing it mainly in the Japanese language. Very interesting. Okay. Now, finally, last year, you were interviewed for a short documentary by South China Morning Post called North Korea's Return to Paradise Nightmare. People can find that on YouTube. It's about 19 minutes long. And you told about your uncles and your own visit to see them in North Korea. What kind of reactions did you get from people who watched that documentary?
I was so shocked that more than I expected.
Really?
There are more than 1 million viewers and 1,000 of warm comments about my family story. I never expected that. I thought it's a very small story of one family, and it's a long time ago, and there's no hope that I can save them. So I didn't know why, South China Morning Post wanted to interview me. Oh, by the way, it's thanks to you. The director maybe, listened to our podcast.
From 2 years ago.
Yes, and he contacted me, and thank you, Jack.
Oh, wow. Well, happy to help. Yeah.
And he didn't know anything about repatriation project before. So he studied so hard, and it took almost more than 6 years for him to edit and study and research.
Wow.
And I thank Jonathan Bitt, the director.
Okay.
And he made the beautiful documentary, and it was very moving. And I was encouraged and touched by so many nice and warm comments all over the world. all in English, and I never expected that. And wow.
And that helped you to decide to organize this NGO, Free to Move?
Yeah, and encouraged me a lot. Oh, this kind of story can move people.
Right.
Yeah, not just the statistics, not just the historical, facts and materials, but just a small family story can move.
Right.
Yeah, and impact people. And yeah.
Well, that's something that Yang Yong-hee discovered as well with her documentaries, right? That those stories of people, families torn apart, that can really move people's hearts.
Yeah.
Was she there at the launch of your organization?
No. I know her. I met her once, but I don't think she will attend this kind of NGO activities. She just wants to continue to make a movie telling her family story.
Okay, well, we wish you all the best with your organization. We hope that it helps people both in Japan and in North Korea and wherever else they are. Thank you once again for coming back on the NK News podcast, Pak Hyangsu.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to a new realm of insights into the Korean Peninsula. At Korea Risk Group, we delve deep into the complexities of North and South Korea, offering bespoke analyses that empower decision makers. Whether you're in government, business, or academia, our tailored solutions provide clarity in an opaque region. Let our team guide your strategy with data-driven insights and on-the-ground intelligence. Step into a world of informed decision-making and visit KoreaRiskGroup.com today. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our podcast episode for today. Our thanks go to Brian Betts and Alana Hill for facilitating this episode, and to our post-recording producer genius Gabby Magnuson, who cuts out all the extraneous noises, awkward silences, bodily functions, and fixes the audio levels. Thank you, and listen again next time.